Holy shit, I am sitting here with the Granite Gangster. What is this? Tell me about Granite Gangster. Who is that?
All right. Well, Granite Gangster is someone that was started out in the construction business years ago with his grandfather.
Yep.
And we did cultured marble, and we ended up, going into Corian. They basically named me the Granite Gangster because of my skill with the granite industry, because I became very successful very fast. Within a year's time, we were doing $3.5 million a year.
Oh my gosh.
So but I just became really successful. We had one of the nicest slab yards. A lot of the times where people would come, they would get to choose their own slab. They'd walk my slab yard, over 350 slabs. And we can pretty much contract a job with them and have it done within a week.
And this is right here in Holly Hill.
That was in Holly Hill, yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk into this. We've got your background a little bit, got the what you do, and tell me what happened during these hurricanes when the stuff was coming up where you're doing, I guess you're doing countertops and maybe some other type of work. So tell me about where these charges stem from and what had happened here, if you will.
What happened was in September, Hurricane Ian came through, and about 3 months prior to that, I had closed my business. I was retiring due to health issues. I had thyroid cancer that spread to my lymph nodes, and I was in recovery from that. But it was a hard recovery due to the radiation and due to the medication. It was a lot of the medication trying to get my numbers regulated. And what was the hardest part about having thyroid cancer is when they take your thyroid out, is your body is not regulated whatsoever. So it's a very long challenge, of how they're going to regulate it, and then so many blood work, so many tests. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to retire. So I retired, and then we transitioned to my son becoming an owner of East Coast Countertops and Remodeling.
Right. And how old are you at this time?
47.
47. So
yep.
In that range there, some people retire early, but the medical is what really pushed you.
Yeah, the medical pushed me into saying, you know what, I'm done. And then my son saying, well, Dad, you've created this company's name, this company's logo, the T-shirts, the business cards, everything that we had was all East Coast. It was a brand. It was East Coast. So I was East Coast cabinets and countertops.
Yep.
He transitioned into East Coast countertops and remodeling.
Right.
So that's why the similar names were kind of confusing to people, but it was something that he wanted that we didn't think was going to be a huge problem.
Yeah. Yeah, because your family business, it's like me. I have a couple, under my main umbrella, I've got a couple smaller businesses that we have in our kids' name and thing like that.
Right.
So you've got this here, you got your son involved, you got everybody involved, you got the hurricanes coming, and you did some work for people. And was the work completed and all that stuff?
Yeah, so around October to November, we started contracting with a lot of hurricane victims that were in desperate need. They come to us, and of course I'm a sales rep for my son at that time. He had asked me if I would mentor him to help him become successful in this line of work. And I said, of course I will. So I was a W-2 employee. I took a paycheck every week.
Right.
And so I went out, started selling these jobs and writing down the scope of works on paper. And it was just kind of like a scratch sheet of paper, writing it down. And then I would hand it over to my wife. My wife, she was the one who ran the office. The office would then transfer it onto a contract. As you can see here, here's one, Tamara Rawling. Her contract, with the scope of work and everything we are to do on the scope of work and the price. That's all her handwriting. You can see that's a woman's handwriting.
Right, yeah.
So my wife would transfer it onto the contracts, and then from the contract, they would give a deposit. When they give a deposit, then we explain to them that we can only go so much with that deposit. That's why it's on the contract that the job doesn't get done until it's 100% complete.
Yeah.
Because when you give us money down, we do a little bit of work. When you give us more money down, we do more work.
It's like a draw.
It's a draw. Yep. That's what they call a draw. So that's what we do. Is this lady here? She gave us $25,000 down
to start.
So with the $25,000 down, of course, on her 707, which is a police report, she had claimed that we took $25,000 from her and we didn't do any work, which is line 3 on the police report. Sure. That Charles Ogden stole $25,000 and never did any other work.
So what's the time frame between the deposit and when they did this? Is there like a
Tamara's was probably, she contracted on 11/4. I would say by 11/20, we were in her house doing the drywall, the plaster, the painting, and removing the countertops and saving them, and removing the cabinets and hauling them away. Within 2 weeks, we knocked all that work out.
Sure.
And on top of that, we had also another hurricane, which was Nicole, come through. On top of that, we had supply and demand issues. We couldn't get drywall. We couldn't get 2x4s. We couldn't get plaster.
Hey, what's the date of this?
11/4/22.
22, yeah.
Yep, in 2022. So I've been fighting with this for about 3 years now.
So looking at these documents, I'm going to tell you, we got our pool done right around the same time. I think it was 2022, maybe a little bit earlier than that. And you know what the pool company told me? This is going to be an expensive pool. And I was like, well, why is that? She says, we can't get people to work. We can't get the materials. We have all of these people coming into us and asking for pools, and we cannot keep up with it. I paid them a deposit to start it. It's standard in contracts to do this, but it sounds like you were in there within, what was the time frame that you guys were in?
Within about 2 weeks, we had started the job, and then we ended up completing the portion for the deposit she gave us.
Yeah.
So when you give somebody $25,000, and a lot of our contracts, people were saying, why are they so cheap? Why are you so low? It's because we're not trying to gouge you. We're trying to help you for the situation that you're in.
Right.
We never intended or wanted anybody to feel like as if we were taking advantage. That's why we gave good prices, good customer service. We were always there. We have text messages between each of us. On the contract, it states, if you are unhappy or unsatisfied, please reach out to us.
Right away.
And when they do, right away we fix it.
Yeah, and another thing, with the scope of this work, what was the scope of this work in this particular case right here?
On this one, it was all wood cabinets, and it says the kitchen bases only, because she already had her uppers. Of course, the insurance wouldn't pay for the uppers; they only paid for the lowers. We had the kitchen island, which was cabinets only, but she wanted in a gray color. Bathroom cabinets, she wanted also in a gray color. Remove and reinstall all countertops, which was kitchen and bathrooms.
Right.
The flooring was glacier with 6-inch baseboard or 5-inch baseboards. We had to hang. I think in her depot it was 1,800 linear feet of drywall. I never measured the drywall, but 1,800 linear feet of drywall we had to hang from 4 feet down. Tape, mud, texture, paint, and we had to do insulation. At the time where the governor, this was a state of emergency from the governor, they were waiving permits. You didn't have to have a permit for drywall and insulation.
Sure.
There was and demolition. There was things that they were waiving permits for to get these people back in their homes faster.
Yeah, because you don't want to have your house all opened up.
Right.
And then, yeah.
And being that the governor said, okay, we're going to waive permits for these certain items, still the DBPR says, no, you got to have a permit for those items. So anyway, we went ahead and we did the drywall, we did the insulation, we did the texturing, we did the painting, and then down here it says tub walls, which we were tiling the tub walls, just
Sure.
the tub walls, no plumbing or electrical whatsoever. It says master shower, which we were doing the shower walls. Then over here, this is the big one. It says doors. That's all it says, is just doors. It has one word, says doors, and then it has a hyphen, and then it says trim all doorways. Says doors, hyphen, trim all doorways.
So it sounds like you got to take the doors out, you got to pull the door trim off, and then redo everything.
No, it's just a trim. No. You don't touch the door.
Okay.
All you do is just it's like around your window here.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
It's just doing the trim.
All the casing.
That's it. It's all the exterior casing as far as your doors go, because your doors start with an interior casing, and then around the outside of your door is a trim.
Yeah.
Which later on, that's a big one, because I was found guilty on this contract, which my son owns. This company has nothing to do with me, but I was found guilty on this contract for replacing an exterior door. And I'm going to show you where the DBPR found me.
Guilty, not criminally, but under their rules.
Their rules, yep.
Department of Professional Regulations, is that what that DBPR?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's what regulates the contractors.
That's what happens where a detective will come out and he'll do a investigation. And if the detective finds anything in the investigation to be wrong, he'll then send it to the DBPR. The DBPR will then do an investigation.
You got to go to a hearing.
And then they don't even really give you a hearing. They give you an opportunity to mail in a letter, which I have the letter that I sent them.
Gotcha.
And then after you mail in a letter, they don't really investigate. They just go off of what you said in the letter, what the customer said. And on this one, there was no electrical, no plumbing, no nothing. And it says right here, no plumbing, no electrical will be performed by East Coast Countertops.
Sure.
And it says it all over the contract too. But in this case, they found me to be guilty for replacing an exterior door, which it didn't say it on the contract. That information got sent back to the detective. The detective decided, Mr. Detective from Port Orange, Lance Morris, he decided, well, I'm going to have this guy arrested.
Based off of a guilty, basically a civil infraction
Right.
from the state of Florida Department of Professional Relations.
Yeah, and the department, the DBPR, the Department of Professional Regulations, they had no right whatsoever to find me at any type of guilt when I wasn't the one that the contract was owned by. I didn't own the contract. I didn't own the business at the time. My son did. And even though they even want to go one step further and say, okay, well, maybe he was outside of that company selling illegal, unlicensed work, it doesn't say it on the contract, exterior door. And also in the contract, it states right here that the customer is acting as their own contractor.
Sure.
This is big.
Yeah.
A customer is to pull any and all permits.
Sure.
Customer is to pay any and all subcontractors. You got all three of those things in right there that does not tie this company to any type of contracting law.
Yeah.
And yet, again, Lance Morris of the Port Orange Police Department found me at guilt for doing unlicensed contracting work and theft because the lady only paid us $25,000. But how is that theft when you did the work that she paid you for?
You satisfied your draw.
The first draw we satisfied, completely satisfied.
And looking at this, here we go again. I knew this was going to happen today. Looking at this contract here, we had our kitchen redone, and when I say these words, some of the viewers may not know what it means, but I think our kitchen in this little house here, what is it? Maybe it's a U shape, no island, nothing like that. Was $14,000.
Just the kitchen.
Just the kitchen. We had thermofoil.
Oh wow!
You know what thermofoil is?
Yeah.
It's a junk covering. I mean, and this contract showing wood. You got
solid wood,
and we have the Formica countertops. We don't have any real stone or anything like that.
Yeah.
You guys were installing stone.
We were installing stone. Yep. We in her situation, we were removing her countertops and replacing hers. But what she was getting was a solid wood cabinet.
Yep.
The doors, the drawers, the back, the bottoms, the sides, everything solid wood. This also came with undermount hidden drawer glides, full extension, comes out all the way. You don't have half of your drawer still stuck behind the cabinet. This is 100% full extension, soft close doors, soft close drawers. This is a good product that we were giving this lady for a very low cost.
And in addition to this, it's the remaining portion of the house with the drywall cut.
Yeah, because once we did the first section would have been everything goes in steps. There are certain steps and certain things that have to be done first. So the first step that I took is the installation. Put the installation in right away. Second step would be to hang the drywall.
Sure.
Third step would be to plaster the drywall. Once all that's done, now we can go with floors.
Yep.
Then baseboards. Right? Steps. But in order to move forward after the first 25, I need 25,000 more.
Yep.
Why? So I can order the flooring.
You've exhausted your funds.
The funds are gone. With labor, material, and then the material was high, and you had to pay good labor because you wanted to find good people.
Right. I think I remember during that time, 2x4s were like
$8 or $9.
I bought them when we did our remodel for $1.96.
Yeah, that's right.
So I can understand where the costs have come up. I see on the sheet here that the total cost was like $79,000.
Yep, the total cost was $79,000 for everything. That's to remodel 2 bathrooms.
Yep.
That's to trim all her door, all around, trim every doorway. That's to do a beautiful custom backsplash for her in Splendor Blue. That's drywall, tape, mud, texture, paint, the entire house. That's all her flooring. That's removing her countertops, putting her new countertops in, and all new cabinets everywhere in the entire house.
Do you know what the insurance company was covering at all?
She was having a hard time getting funds, and that's why this thing turned sideways. Is really, I think, because she had sent us a demand letter for some of her money back, which was $7,500. She says she had a leak in one of her closets. That's what she had testified, that she had a leak in one of her closets, and that she had to reallocate her funds. So after we did all this work, now all of a sudden she wants money back.
Sure.
Well, and this was all in court. Where did you come up with $7,500? Did you have an official quote? No, I didn't. It's like there is bad apples that spoil the whole bunch.
But not
You
all
know,
your customers are bad. You don't.
no,
have
we
that.
had, and you know, my wife testified that we had 111 customers in between the time of October to February. 111 customers. Out of 111 customers, you got 4 bad ones.
Yeah.
How does that make you a scammer? How does that make you, in any type of way, someone who rips people off?
Yeah, and during this time, did you ever leave the county and move out of here and get the heck
Never.
out of here?
And
No?
we've been in this county for many years, and we have never left our customers or left our business, or we have always stuck it out.
And the reason why I asked that, I think there was some other issues where someone had issues here as a contractor or something like that, and they just bounced and took off.
Absolutely.
And
They're out there.
Yeah, I won't mention the names of those because I don't know the facts of those,
Right.
but that shows an element of guilt. That shows an element of like, you know, I did something wrong. I'm trying to get as far away from this place as I can. I want to talk about Port Orange and Officer Morris. I have 100% zero faith in Port Orange Police Department. They have a lot of people that target me for making videos.
And it's probably a small portion of the bigger picture.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Of what they try to do to people.
Right.
You know, because, you know, and I'm not picking on Lance Morrison. I don't know him personally, and I'm sure he's a great guy. But my experience with him and what he did to me is completely railroad.
So with Lance Morris, you know, we have this detective that sounds like he's coming after you and he's going to do anything that he can to get a conviction on you. What happened with the investigation when you found out that they're investigating you and now coming after you?
That's a great question. Lance Morris was biased from the very beginning. There was no negotiating or talking, or there was nothing with him because he was strictly biased from the very beginning. And even in his deposition and his 707, which is his police report, you know, he met with Melanie Kane. She was the ringleader of all this nonsense.
That's an attorney?
Melanie Kane is the lady who started all this nonsense against me.
Okay.
She's the first so-called victim that I had ripped off. And, you know, later on it was discussed, you know, with her job, how great of a job that we did and how fast we did and how much we had in our way, you know, to do what little bit that we did do. You know, I mean, not only did she have a brain surgery within 30 days, there was Hurricane Nicole. And there was supply and demand.
Yes.
So all in 30 days, we hung over 1,900 square feet or 1,900 linear feet of drywall in her house.
Like 4 feet high.
4 feet high. And then she had to have a demolition crew come in before us. All this within 30 days. But fired us because we weren't doing our job fast enough. So then Detective Lance Morris goes in, he looks at her job. And he looks around, he sees all this drywall hung. Again, where's the crime?
Yeah, how does he get to the crime?
Where's the crime, Mr. Morse? Where's the crime?
Did you ever figure out how he got to the crime?
So, well, he goes and he does a report for Melanie Kane, which, you know, Melanie Kane works for the state of Florida. So this is where this whole thing looks like it's all tied together somehow with, like in your situation, it was somebody who knew somebody.
So what agency does she work for?
I don't know if she still does, but at the time she worked for the Department of Agriculture.
And they're essentially hand in hand with law enforcement.
Absolutely.
Because they used to issue your concealed permits. They have law enforcement that stop on the side of the road. So they're essentially
absolutely
a law enforcement agency.
Yep. So Detective Lance Morris had already that bias, you know, I'm going to go after this guy. And there was nothing on her contract, nothing stated anything electrical or plumbing, but he goes off of these victims, so-called victims, off their word. No proof, just, oh, he was doing electrical? Let me go find out.
Yep.
So he comes to 1976 North Nova Road, which was at the time our location for my son. My son owned the property. My son owned the business. And he comes in and, you know, he already had a chip on his shoulder. And at the time we had a Lamborghini sitting in the, you know, it was a Lamborghini Urus, and we had it sitting in the parking lot. That was my wife's vehicle at the time. And in his report, he goes, upon approaching, you know, East Coast Countertops and Remodeling, I noticed a black Lamborghini. And it's like, what does that got to do what does that have to do with your report? First off,
so only inflating a situation to create a bias in the report.
Right. Yep. After he walked through the front door, he was met with my wife, Jessica Ogden. And he had did an interview with her, and he had asked her a series of questions. You know, do you work for Charles Ogden? She goes, no, I don't. I work for his son. So she gave him all the facts right then and there.
Right.
You know, do you know who Melanie Kane is? I do. You know, and he said, well, what do y'all have going on with Melanie Kane? And my wife explained to him, well, she came in, she's very irate. We're trying to work with her. We offered her money back.
Right.
My wife showed him the text messages. He wasn't interested in the text messages. My wife says, do you want to talk to Charles Jr.? No, I don't. She goes, do you want me to call Charles Sr.? No, I don't. So here's what really kills me is a real true investigation. You talk to both parties.
You talk to everyone. Witnesses, parties, suspect.
Everybody.
Person of interest. Yes.
My investigation lasted 4 days. 4 days from the day that he interviewed Melanie Kane to the day that I was arrested was a 4-day investigation. Now, how did you do a proper investigation in 4 days?
4-day investigation to put someone away essentially for life.
For life, yep. They wanted to put me away for 30 years. 30 years over a 4-day investigation that he failed to do. He failed to do a proper investigation. He failed to check the evidence. He failed to look at the contracts and go over the contracts and see that the contracts state no plumbing, no electrical. You are the contractor. You are going to pull your own permits. He failed to look at all of that. He failed to investigate me. He failed to investigate my son.
But only the one-sided, slanted investigation.
Right.
So essentially, just everything is a misapplication of the law here.
Absolutely. Actually, what it stems from, I think, is one person that wants to pull her weight. Melanie Kane wants to pull her weight, wants to show her power, wants everyone to see how evil and how invictive that she can actually be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And she wanted everyone to see that she is in control. And she pulled all these people together. Like, how do you have a detective that lies? How do you have the DBPR that lies? How do you have the state of Florida? How do you have all these 3 entities all see the same lie and don't investigate? None of them investigated.
So you know when you're talking about these lies and things like that, it sounds like even though when someone's not working and they work for the state of Florida, there's that persuasiveness that we talked about. We have a bias that another agency is going to do, because anytime another cop or another government agency or a mayor of an agency will come to the police and say, I want something done about him, they like bend over backwards.
Absolutely.
And we talked about my case, and we had talked about, you know, you being the recipient of what we would call an overbearing and an incomplete investigation. They did the same thing with me. They did the same thing with everybody else. And I get email after email. After every video that I put out, I get another one that said, hey, they did the same thing to me. It seems like the government doesn't work for us. It seems like the government works for themselves, and it works to better themselves. But as a resident of this county for a long time, what do you think about the police department in general when it comes down to investigating properly and not railroading someone?
Right.
What's your thoughts on them? Do you think they railroad people?
You know, when I was asked as a kid, what do I want to be when I grow up? It was, I want to be a cop, or I want to be a firefighter. I want to be a doctor. I want to be a nurse. And those are the things that we're trained, you know, throughout life. Is that's what you should be in life. You should be one of these, you know, pay your taxes and everything is like a robot. You know what I mean? You should do this and then do this and then do this. They don't want you to be something other than what they want you to be. This is clearly a business, is what it is. It's a business that is only designed for the government to make money. The rules, the laws is only written for their benefit.
Sure.
Nothing is written to protect or serve. There is no protect or serve.
Have you ever tried to get money back from the government?
I'm going to try.
They're
I'm going to try. I'm going to sue them. I'm going to try.
They're not technically one of those traditional businesses.
Right.
I go to Walmart, I'm happy with service or something like that, or I return a product, they give you your money back.
Yeah.
Here, they make you fight for it, and then they come after you. They'll start pulling you over for tickets. Did you get any retaliation after these things were started, like, you know, code enforcement violations or
absolutely
getting randomly?
My whole entire property that we live on is all in code violation right now. Everything that we did is in code violation right now. They're trying to tell me right now, and this is what's really upsetting and heartbreaking, is Melanie Kane emailed every single city and county, multiple, and I have all this on proof, that she had emailed every city, every county, stating that I was doing illegal contracting work, that I was stealing people's money. She emailed the mayor of Holly Hill. I literally got their conversation back and forth. Well, we've had a house on our property since 1982. The law never changed, and it didn't change until 1984. So anything without a permit, without a contractor, without nothing in 82 would have been grandfathered in.
And this is county?
This is county.
Okay.
So being that she works for the state of Florida, she's got her pull.
Mm-hmm.
Now our entire property is in violation. Our entire property. They're trying to say, well, you got to tear that house down. That's where my son lives. That's where my stepson lives. My son and my stepson, because it's a family compound.
Yeah.
And from day one, I told my family, I said, when we go in this courtroom, and if you are called as a witness, I only want you to say one thing, the truth.
Yep.
I'm not going to tell you what to say. I don't want you to say what I tell you to say.
Yeah.
I want you to tell the truth, because that's what this case is based off of, is truth. It's based off of truth, so don't go in there with anything other than the truth. Yeah. If you don't remember, or if you don't know how to answer it, say, I just don't remember. That's it. I just, it's been 3 years ago.
Were all of the witnesses in the courtroom when you saw them?
They were, every one of them.
Every single one of them.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Witnesses and people that Melanie Kane had reached out to. She did, like I said, an online campaign, and she had multiple people. She tried to pack the courtroom full, but at the end of the day, it was just people that feel like they were victimized by what she has, created as something that turned into nothing.
One of the things that's wild is I was messaging a couple. So I have a lot of contacts in the state attorney's office, public defender, and almost every law enforcement agency. They reach out to me on a daily basis. And I was messaging one. I said, hey, check this out, because it was on your page and it came across my feed. And they were even like, I don't think the jury deliberated. They didn't find the charge. I said, no, he's saying it, so it is not guilty. Because it was one of those. I never made an assumption on it. I didn't make any determination on it, because I'm 100% believer of innocent until proven guilty.
Right.
Take it the wrong way, even when people are charged with some of the most heinous crimes that you can see. Unless I see it on video, then I'm not making a decision on it. And that's what I want. Now with AI, you got to be careful of what you even make assumptions on, because there's a video of me of AI, and it looks almost just like me. It's they made it further away. It wasn't anything bad. It's just it's me doing like a cartwheel on a beach. But I'm like, holy crap! I didn't do that. That wasn't me.
Right.
So I was reserved on every single criminal case that comes through here and even when there's an appeal in the process, like if this was found guilty and they say, hey, we're taking this to appeal, my thoughts of finding a person guilty is not until they've exhausted all means. I just posted this morning about a Tampa man that went to jail when he was 19, and the man spent 30-something years in jail, and DNA evidence exonerated him, found the other person that was doing it. I don't have faith in this justice system anymore. I never had. Even when I was working in the police department, I was like writing these reports. I had all of this stuff out, but then I noticed that I was doing those slanted reports where it was like, the defendant appeared, the defendant had this, there was these circumstances that were not related to the case, but shows the pattern of the defendant.
Right.
And I was writing those reports at the time, and I hated doing that, but that's what we were instructed to do.
Absolutely.
I'm watching this video of you standing there, and I don't know what your heart rate was or your blood pressure, but I had some anxiety watching the video when there's, and I don't know you. I'm going to be crystal clear. I've never met you, don't know you, never hired you. You haven't worked with any of our companies or anything like that, but knowing that there's these crazy charges are coming down on you, and you're relying on 7 people that are, they may or may not have an experience in criminal justice. They may just be ordinary people. When they come out and they're reading it, what are you feeling when they've got that paper handed over to the judge and now they're getting ready to read this? What do you feel?
It's from the time that I sat down, behind that table, the biggest thing that helped me out was taking deep breaths. Deep breaths would kind of calm me, but I was never in a panic state at all, because I guess when you've lived a life the way I've lived my life, you really just expect the unexpected. You know what I mean? You really don't have any fear of something that you've already been through.
Yeah.
I wasn't scared. I wasn't, I'm sitting here talking to you the same way I was at that time, talking with my attorneys.
Yeah.
I never had that fear of going to prison. I didn't. You know why? Because I'm already 50. You know what I mean? I mean, what do I got? 20, 30, maybe? You know, I mean, my family's taken care of. You know, I'm not afraid of going to prison. You know, I've already been through that. What are they going to do to me that hadn't already been done?
You know, I would be terrified, especially with little kids. I got a 7-year-old and 11-year-old.
Right, and that's different. That's a different story.
Yeah.
You know, I was more in panic mode my first time I went down, but being in prison, it changes you. Being in prison, it changes how you think. It changes how you get through life. It changes a lot about you. You know what I mean? So when I'm sitting there and I'm just waiting for the jury to deliberate, John Terhune is Aaron's attorney that was assisting with this case. Very great guy, did a great job. John looks over at me. He goes, "How are you so calm?" John was more nervous than anybody in the courtroom, you know, other than my family. I mean, but John was shaking. And so I looked at him and I said, "I take deep breaths, and it's going to be what it's going to be, John."
Yeah.
What is nervousness going to change anything? What is it going to change? If I were sitting in jail right now, knowing I had to wait for sentencing, which could have been 1 to 2 months out, and then after that, you know, yesterday could have been the last day of my freedom for forever, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, they were giving me 30 years. If found guilty on all charges, I was getting 30 years. If found on lesser charges, I don't know what the time frame was, because what they're doing now, and it's probably the way it's been, but it's what I learned, is they add your old criminal points. It's all based on a point system. So anything I did wrong 25 years ago, they had points. You take those points and you add them with the current points of what they're charging you with, and that's what's based on 111 years is what I could have gotten max. The minimum was what I was guaranteed.
So even though you complete your sentencing, you complete what you owed essentially to the state for what they charge you with, they hold that against you forever.
Those points added with my new points, if I were found guilty, I would have done 111 years.
I wonder why they don't do that with the cops here locally when they do something wrong and you know, they're acting under the color of law. I still find that crazy. They say, you know, he's been a good officer all of his career, but you can find the bad things in them, but they never hold that against the government.
Right.
It's like they always protect themselves. And so, yeah, you do have them reading that. The first not guilty came out. You feel relieved?
You know, when, you know, I'm sitting there and I had looked at John, and, you know, Aaron had came over next to me, and he says, you know, no matter what the verdict is, he goes, we are going to get through this. He goes, there's still a JOA. She never denied the JOA. She only denied the JOA, which is a judgment on acquittal. She denied the JOA for the contracting without a license because she says, you know, let a jury decide that. She goes, but I'm going to reserve the JOA for the outcome. Mm-hmm. So I think she was going to help me because she didn't see any real proof. There was no real actual proof. There was only words. And there was really no theft. There was no grand theft. There was nothing. I didn't take anything.
Because you kept saying the work has been performed.
The work was performed. The victims were my best witnesses. They admitted that work was done. Some of them admitted that the entire job was done and they were happy. Robert Gorey, the job is done. I'm extremely happy. Well, why are you here? Well, the cop said I needed to be here. The cop said you needed to be here.
The South Daytona detective.
Okay. Yeah. So, you know, as Aaron, you know, walks over to me, Aaron Delgado and Associates, he walks over to me and he says, you know, no matter what the verdict is, he goes, don't panic. Just, you know, that's not the end of it. It's still not the end of it. Just because it's guilty, it's not the end of it. He goes, let's just see. So I looked at him and I said, Aaron, I'm not worried. I'm not worried about me. I said, turn around. I'm worried about them.
Yeah. So yeah, the first one's read out. I want to specifically hone on that one. Because there's, 13 more charges after the first one?
Well, at that point in time, I went in to the courtroom and I was facing 13 total felonies. Mm-hmm. Because this last victim called Bill Ferret, he dropped out. He didn't want nothing to do with it. He said, this is all total nonsense. The man did what he said he was going to do. He goes, from what I found out is Bill Ferret, he said he was one of the victims. He says, yes, I did contract between October and November. He goes, but he finished my job. He goes, I'll get up there and I'll say the opposite of what you want me to say.
Yeah.
They threw him out of this whole organized scheme to defraud because he wasn't going to play by their rules.
So he was going to tell the truth and not their curated.
Absolutely.
You need to say this and you need to say that.
He says, you subpoena me and I'm going to tell them exactly what he did and how great of a guy he was. He goes, you only asked me if he did work for me through this month and this month. And I said, yes. Y'all subpoenaed me for that.
And that's part of that exculpatory evidence. They don't want to hear his good side.
No, they don't. That's why on that folder I have a line through his name, because they ended up saying, well, you know what, you don't have to be here.
Yeah. What did you feel when they said not guilty right then?
It was like a huge weight lifted off my shoulders, and it wasn't a sense of fear or scared. It was finally over with. It was like, you know what, I can finally live my life without everybody trying to bash me and think of me as a bad person. Wow. I lost friends. I lost family. I lost business. I lost reputation. I lost my child due to having to move him to Wisconsin. I lost more than most people can bear.
And that's it. So, well, I appreciate your time. Thank you, sir. It's been nice talking with you about this. Thank you guys for watching this video. I know it's a long one. We have this gentleman here. Let me see what you have out in the truck here. Yep, we have your work truck out there. Continue to do work, right?
Hey, I'm back on it today. I said I'll do an interview and I'm heading to work.
Sounds good. Thank you guys for watching. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. If you do have any questions, or if you have a story similar to this, drop it down in the comments or email me at jamesmadisonaudits@gmail.com. Let's get your story out there too.